Hi. So it's super late. Well, it's a quarter to 11, and for me, that's pretty late these days. Jackson normally feeds about 9:30, 10, and I normally go to bed soon after. Um, he has just fed, and I just put him in bed, but I need to pump before I go to bed, so here I am. I thought, well, I'm going to do one more video now that it's quiet in my house and before I pump and go to bed. So, since I am about to do my pumping, I thought I was going to do a video on my 2-week update on breastfeeding slash pumping journey. I breastfed in the hospital. Things went okay. I have inverted nipples, so Jackson would get really frustrated at first because he couldn't get the milk out fast enough when the milk came in, and we started having that struggle when he would start crying and screaming and throwing his head back, and I would try to pull him towards me, and so we talked to the lactation consultant before we left the hospital, and she gave us like the shield and showed us how to use it and gave me some other things that I forget what they're called, the things that you wear during the day and it like pulls out your nipple. And gave me she gave me a hand pump, manual pump, and a bunch of stuff. And gave me a lot of good information. But when we got home, I started having all of my other issues with my cesarean incision. So I started to lose my patience. And I started to come to the realization that I am, and I know that many people do this breastfeed successfully when they are as busy as I am. I am a full-time student. I got 2 other kids that are in T-ball and schools and constantly visiting families and people, and I'm really busy. And I don't have the patience to sit here and fight for 15, 20 minutes to feed. And I just couldn't do it. But it was very important for me to continue giving Jackson my milk. So I decided to take the route as of now of exclusively pumping. And that's been going great for the most part. At first, I was pumping every 3 to 4 hours, and I would be getting somewhere between 5 and 8 ounces. And being just 5-6 days postpartum, I think that's pretty good. But one night, I ended up not pumping all night long. I pumped probably around like 10 or 11 at night. Sorry again. And then Jackson is a pretty good sleeper. So if he eats around 10, he'll probably wake up about 2 or 3, and then he'll wake up like around 6. So at that 2 to 3 feeding, I completely passed out after feeding him and didn't pump. And when I woke up at that 6 o'clock feeding, I was completely engorged. I leaked everywhere. And I pumped like immediately, and I got like 10 ounces, which is great. But then that day afterwards, when I would pump every 3 to 4 hours, and I was doing it for about a half an hour long, I would get maybe 3 ounces total. I'm using a double pump, and I'm pumping at the same time for 30 minutes, and I was getting 3 ounces total from both sides. But before I was getting, 5 to 8, and now I'm getting 3 to 4 after that engorgement. So I've been struggling ever since to get back to where I was. So I've been trying a couple different things. I still, which can completely probably solve my problems, is pumping at night. Goodness, I did not realize I was that tired. Now I've started pumping every 2 to 3 hours, and I've been doing it for shorter time. I've been doing it for 15 minutes because I read somewhere in the time online reading that actually pumping more frequently for shorter bits will actually increase your supply rather than less frequent for longer can actually dry you up faster. So instead of doing it every 3 to 4 hours for 30 minutes, I've been doing it every 2 to 3 hours for 15 minutes. And now I'm getting somewhere between still 3 and 4, maybe sometimes 5 ounces. And I mean, that's still pretty good, I think, for only being 2 weeks postpartum. But I'm really worried about, it feels like every 2 or 3 days he's going up like a half an ounce in his feedings. So it's like I'm worried about keeping up with it as his appetite grows. It's fine when he was drinking an ounce. Now he's drinking a little over, 2 ounces on the 2.5 side. Not quite there yet. But yeah. What's going to happen when he's drinking 4 to 6 ounces and I'm still only pumping 3 to 4? I'll never be able to keep up with it. Now it's, I'm about 1 day ahead in my storage. I'm trying to build that so that I want to breastfeed for as long as possible. So I'm not pumping at night still. I'm so exhausted. As you can see, where I can't stop yawning, how embarrassing. I'm so exhausted that I feed him, and by the time I'm feeding him, I'm still barely awake enough to take him to his bassinet and lay him down after burping him. Most of the time we kind of fall asleep in the burping process, and then I kind of wake up and go lay him down. But I don't think I'm going to get anywhere with building my supply unless I start pumping at night, which I know, but I'm still I don't know, struggling with exhaustion to do it. My other idea is to try to start breastfeeding at night. Since my husband's not usually the one to wake up with him anyways, because he normally has to go to work, or on the weekends he's gonna let me sleep in, and so I'll wake up at night. God, it's like I'm crying, I'm yawning so much. So I'm thinking I might start breastfeeding again, in hopes that I don't get frustrated with it again. And, but I'm guessing that if I breastfeed at night and then work on pumping during the day, my supply will go up. We'll see. But on the other hand, I like bottle feeding. I feel more comfortable doing that. I don't mind lugging all this stuff around. My kids are able to help. My husband's able to help. Family members are able to help. I'm able to go places without the baby. If I want to go to the store by my lonesome, I have food at the house for the baby with, whoever's watching him. Oh, I'm really sorry for the yawning. I would have never done this video if I knew I was going to yawn that much. I've been using the bottles that are called Born Free. I don't know the brand, but if that is the brand. They are great. Like, he has no gas problems. He usually gets out 1 or 2 good burps at the end. Sometimes he doesn't, but, he's not having any issues with it. So, I don't know whether to change or what. But I need to start building my supply, because when he's up to 4 to 6 ounces, I gotta be able to pump 4 to 6 ounces. At least. So, that's where I'm at. I'm building my supply. I'm trying to get to the point where I can pump somewhere between, at least 6 to 8 ounces a setting before he's drinking that much. So I'm able to, build for the future rather than just pump for now, if that makes sense. But that's our breastfeeding update. Any advice you have if you've exclusively pumped, or advice to maybe how get back into feeding when you're I'm not really that gung-ho into wanting to. I just know that it's cheaper and it's better for the baby. That's the main reason why I'm continuing doing this, but I feel more comfortable at bottle feeding. But any advice, I'm definitely willing to accept it and try it. So that should be it. I guess I'm going to pump now, and off to bed I go.